welcome to this episode of John's Motorcycle Rescue and Review. Today I am looking at a 1983 GPZ 1100. I'm looking for my next project here, and this is a bike that I saw advertised and just think that's a cool machine. This has the old KZ 1100 motor in it. It's still the air-cooled version. This was the year before they went to the Ninja with the liquid-cooled 16-valve engine. I'm just looking over this bike, and we'll get up close and just kind of take a look at some details. Just looking at the forks here, they are oily and it needs some fork seals. The engine has been quote-unquote detailed, but it's been spray painted black on everything and not professionally really, so it looks great from 5 feet away, but they didn't bother to really even cover anything. So this is covered in spray paint, so are all of your rubber tubes and such. It does have a header on it, an RC header, and the bodywork looks nice, but even here you can see some of the orange peel on here, and it does have the drag bike swing arm, and it is solidly mounted, so there is no longer any rear suspension on the bike. So if I did pick this up, I would have to put a new rear swing arm and the brake stay and the shock and all of that stuff. I'll get underneath the bike and actually look if the mounts for all of that stuff are still there, or if they've cut those off. I would hope not, but you know, sometimes people don't do things so that you can put them back to stock. Tires look fairly new. It does have some touch up on the paint, and like I say, most of the bike has just been taken off, probably just taken off things like foot pegs and then just shot everything with the gloss black. But again, it looks great from 10 feet away, but it's definitely not a professional job on that. So just things I've got to keep in mind from 10 feet away. It is a beautiful bike. I rode one of these originally years ago, and it was an all-stock model, and I could have gotten it for a fairly decent price, but I ended up getting a 1000 Ninja instead, which was just a quantum leap in performance over these. And another thing on these GPZs is they had early model fuel injection. So this is actually a fuel injected bike. And depending on how that runs, a lot of people ended up putting these things back to carburetors. Since it was based on the old KZ motor, I don't think that's terribly difficult, but I'm pretty sure you have to run, if you do that, you might have to run pod filters. So I will go ahead and look in the tank. And the tank has been lined. You can see that. So there has been, at some point, there's been some rust inside the tank. I'm not a super huge fan of that, but we'll see how the bike runs.
Full throttle.
as you can see, I have picked up my next project. It wasn't exactly as put together as I was hoping, but I was able to negotiate with the previous owner a price that we could both live with, and I picked it up. So this is a 1983 ZX 1100 GPZ. The first thing on my list to do is to get this bike running well and to get it to a point where it is safe to drive. So over the next couple of episodes with this bike, we will be looking at what it's going to take to get the bike running well. Currently, it wasn't firing on all 4 cylinders very well when I test drove it. When I looked at the bike, there were some intake boots that were off from the airbox to the fuel injection, and that all, just in looking at it this morning, that stuff needs to be put back together snugly and done right. So I will go ahead and do that. The clutch was also slipping. I have a feeling that is because of the clutch cable. It could also be the push rod that goes from one side of the engine to the other. So I will be looking at both the clutch cable and the push rod. I noticed that the brakes are low on brake fluid, and I'm sure the brake fluid itself is super old. So I will go ahead and replace the brake fluid and bleed out the brakes on this bike. Again, when I first get a bike, it's about making sure it's mechanically sound, that it runs well, and before I even want to take it out on the road at all, I want to make sure that I can stop if it does run well. So safety first, and then I may also put it back to stock if I can find the parts for the original swing arm. Right now this is set up with a drag suspension, which is literally, these are the shocks. So it doesn't have any rear suspension travel on it. It's got a solid rear end as it is right now. Minimum thing I'm probably going to do is at least raise this up a little bit in the rear, just so I'm not dragging the pipe all the time while I'm test driving it, making sure it runs right. I'm excited. This bike, if it is running well, I have a feeling it's going to pull like a Banshee. The engine is stamped with a builder's mark on it, so I know the engine has been built a little bit. At least that's what I suspect. And even when I was test driving it, it seemed like if it would pull right, the clutch wouldn't slip. This thing's going to pull like a freight train. And the motor wasn't making, other than not running on all 4 cylinders, it wasn't making any bad noises really. So I'm hopeful. But regardless, this is just a beautiful bike. I've always loved the styling of these. I think it's a very cleanly styled bike. And something unique. It's something that you're not going to see every day. There's a lot of stretched Hayabusas out there, and they're really cool and really fast. This will never be that fast. But I like something that's unique, that I'm not going to see another one tomorrow when I'm riding it, and this definitely fits the bill. So I hope you enjoy this series of videos on this bike. I'll try to do my best keeping you informed of what's going on with it and the progress on the project. All right, take care.